Hey, it's me Hrishikesh Kannan, popularly known as Hrishi K. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon now to get the latest videos and get taken into a world of entertainment, culture, sport, business and current affairs.
I played Thomas Bellucci, and because Rohan took him to 5 sets on Friday, he was dead against me. Absolutely dead. I remember I win the first set in a tie break, second set, and I'm close to breaking. I break him, I give it a big come on, I get the crowd going. I turn around, and Bellucci's nose is just bleeding. It's just, just like I think he sneezed and a blood vessel popped, and it's just, blood everywhere. His shirt's covered, his towel's covered. He looks up at the ref, he's like feeling a little woozy. And for me, this was a huge win because I was like, well, I'm up a set, I'm up a break. It's sweltering heat in Chennai. The guy just played 5 hours 2 days ago, and I'm fitter than him. So advantage me.
So, enjoying your broadcasting career? Talk to me about that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have been enjoying it. I mean, my first gig was in 2016, and it's kind of, I was called up to work for Times Now. At the time, Arnab was in Times Now. And I was, along with me, the panelists were Charu Sharma, Aparna Popat, and a few others. And, when I did that gig in 2016, it was actually, I found it to be a lot of fun, because I was like, wow, so I love following tennis. This is what I do in my free time is, especially if a couple of my friends are over, we either watch tennis or follow scores, break down draws, see results, look at patterns, think where are players doing well, where are they not doing well, make predictions amongst each other. So it was stuff that I felt like I was doing any which way because I, really, really followed the sport and loved it. And so when I got to, get on TV and talk about tennis, I kind of felt like it was a little bit of a dream job. I got to go out there and speak my mind about the biggest tournaments in the world. So from the get-go, honestly, I've really enjoyed it. After that, I did the Asian Games, done Aussie Open a few times and a few other tournaments. And the broadcasting is different from being on a tennis court, but I still like it a lot because it keeps you engaged in the game.
Yeah, let's look at just a bird's eye view of the women's doubles and the men's doubles. Babos and Mladenovic, they really have an aura, don't they? The last few years, what they've done. And there's also Ash Barty and Jennifer Brady. That's a new partnership, Somdev. In Brady's case, the strength is obviously big hitting, plus the serve. Then you got Barty, great field, finesse, spin. So women's double, you pretty much feel it's going to be a matchup between those two pairs?
Listen, a lot goes into it. Keep in mind, these guys haven't been practicing for 2 weeks. So Expect to see a little bit of rustiness, I would say, from everybody. But going back to Kiki Mladenovic and Babos, I think what has served a lot of teams well is to actually stick together and play together. I think a big thing, a lot of times teams in the men's and the women's tour, you see them not sticking together when they have a few losses. And I think, what these two girls have done incredibly well is they've kind of stuck together. So that's obviously a big part of their success. But I think Kiki Mladenovic is also one of the most talented players out there. She's had tremendous amount of success in doubles, mixed doubles, singles. She's, big girl with a lot of, very, very athletic and really good hands as well. So for sure, you expect them to do well. But moving on to Barty and Jennifer Brady, Barty has had a lot of success on the doubles court, and Jennifer Brady off late is obviously kind of, everybody's kind of taken notice of her. But more importantly, I think Jennifer Brady also has a college background. And in college tennis, the doubles point is absolutely huge. So that also explains one of the reasons why Ash Barty probably chose to play with Jennifer, is because she understands that Jennifer, apart from being a good doubles player, is a great competitor. And I think having two great competitors along with two good athletes that have good hands and know how to play doubles, I couldn't have picked it out better myself, to be honest. So I think they're going to be pretty dangerous.
Men's doubles, Ram and Salisbury are good. I like the way Ram's style is. It's a throwback to the good old days, isn't it? I mean, he plays classic doubles, and Salisbury has obviously brought a nice dynamic touch to that contribution. At the other end of the spectrum, there is Shapovalov and Pospisil, which again is a lot of flair and instinct. So those two duos.
Yeah, I think men's doubles is at an exciting stage right now for various different reasons. Number one, you're starting to see guys who dominated the game for so many years now kind of slowly making their way into retirement, So, and I think the biggest one is obviously not having the Bryans there. So now there's a lot of teams out there that suddenly are saying, "Hey, I've got a shot," And I think Rajiv, one of my very close friend of mine, we actually used to call him Rajiv Rampras, because he kind of modeled his
Pete
game
Sampras.
after Pete. Even the serve, you see a little bit of the motion on that single-handed backhand, and I think he's one of the best volleyers in the game without a doubt. The guy is got fantastic hands. I think the way one coach put it is Rajiv has got an incredible sense of how to take pace off the ball when guys are hitting it so big. So I think, especially in modern day doubles, when guys are at the baseline a lot more than they used to be even 10, 15 years ago, having a person at the net that's so solid and knows positioning that well, and obviously serves bullets, it really helps. And I think also they won the Aussie Open last year, right?
Yep.
So him and Salisbury together, I think, like I said, for the women, I think what's nice to see is the two of them are sticking together, and they're going to give themselves a good run and an opportunity to see if they can have a long-term partnership. I think when two players get together and give themselves that opportunity over tennis results don't happen overnight. I think a lot of people kind of misunderstand that. You put yourself in the right position enough number of times, and then you can get some kind of success. So I think these guys are mature about that. Rajiv's been around the block for a long time. He's been a pro since 2005, I would say, 5 or 6, so 15, 16 years. So been top 100 in singles, won a couple of tour events, obviously a world-class doubles player who's now winning Grand Slams. So yeah, but I will say this, I think it's going to be tough for them to come out and defend their title. I would love to see it though.
Let's talk about the Indians. Sumit Nagal has already been handed a direct wildcard entry into the main draw, Somdev. Have you spoken to Ankita Raina, Divij Sharan? I believe they're getting 5 hours outside their rooms for on-court practice, gym sessions, eating and traveling. And most importantly, has Rohan Bopanna found himself a partner for the Aussie Open, because his partner, Sousa, the Portuguese, tested positive for the coronavirus and forcing him to pull out. So last heard Rohan was looking for a partner. So just a bit on Rohan, Sumit, Ankita and Divij.
Yeah, so I mean, just to make it clear, so Rohan's partner was ranked around 90 and Rohan is somewhere around 40.
Yeah.
So to make it clear, Rohan needs to find a guy, because they were already in the first time the cut came out. So in other words, Rohan needs to find a guy ranked higher than Sousa. If he finds a guy who's ranked higher than Sousa, who's not in the doubles draw, then he would get in. So the odds of Rohan finding a guy in Australia ranked higher than 90, that's very high. He's so for sure he's going to find a doubles partner. The question is who, and I'm sure he's sending out text messages. And keep in mind, a lot of guys also want to play doubles probably because they've realized that they don't have enough matches.
Yeah.
And doubles, puts them on a tennis court, and being on a court is going to get you that much better. So and I think with the other players, with Ankita, a lot of it is going to be based on luck of the draw. She's gone there as with the potential of winning a lucky loser, and I would say she has about a 50-50 chance right now of getting in. So all you can do if you're in Ankita's shoes is prepare. If you're given the call, you should be ready, and if not, then that's just unlucky, I would say, but just move on to the next event. I think, all of us who've played tennis enough have, been been in the position where we have been lucky losers. There was a time, one time I was playing Wimbledon maybe 8-10 years ago, and I think I was the 2 seed in the qualifying. And, within 24 hours of the cut being closed, 6 people withdrew.
Wow.
Which meant, had they withdrawn 24 hours prior, I would have been in, and I ended up losing in the qualifying. So these kind of things happen in tennis all the time. So there's definitely a chance for her to get in. And if she gets in, I think, that would be the first main draw appearance for her. So for her to go out and win and, fight hard and give it her best, just to, be able to put yourself in a position to win is all you can do as an athlete. But yeah, I mean, the conditions have been harsh. I mean, I've chatted with a couple of the guys, and right from getting out of your hotel into the car, getting to the venue, exactly, you have 20 minutes to warm up. You get on court, you have exactly this much time on court. You come off, you have this much time to shower, and you have half an hour to eat until you're back in the car, back into the hotel. So in a sense, these guys are being treated almost like they're on a timetable, But I think that it's important to respect the rules that have been put in place by the government, and also respect the fact that the tournament has gone out of their way to make sure that the players who are there are being compensated well. Let me put it in perspective, okay? Sumit Nagal gets 100,000 Aussie dollars for being in the first round, something that Ankita would get if she gets a lucky loser position. When I played my first Grand Slam in 2009, main draw, I qualified into the US Open, won a round, lost second round, 4 sets to Cole Schreiber.
Yeah.
And I think my paycheck was 25,000.
Wow. Look at the increment.
So yeah, exactly. So I think a lot of players who played with me back then are still around now. And so the complaining isn't really quite happening when it comes to the tournament, because I think by and large, most of the players are super appreciative about, the efforts everybody is making to make sure that the players have a better life. The lockdown situation is the lockdown situation, and that's just something you have to deal with.
I'm going to round up with career highlights. Somdev Devvarman career highlights. Yeah, it's just been such wonderful moments where you've made us so proud. I mean, to me, that Chennai Open in 2009 was just remarkable. I mean, the fact that you meet Moya in the second round, Karlovic, who was world number 25 in the quarters, and then, you eventually lost to Cilic. Must be great memories, eh?
Really was. Listen, man, before coming into that tournament, I was a wild card. So I knew I was probably going to get the wild card, because at that time, I think Prakash and me, we were 1 and 2, Prakash and I at the time. So there were three wild cards. So, and also we were 1 and 2 by quite a long margin. I had just played about 5 or 6 months on the tour. I was already ranked 200. So I kind of knew I was getting that wild card into the tournament, and which kind of made me a little jittery, to be honest, because it was a dream of mine to play at Center Court in Chennai. I don't know if you know, but I grew up in Chennai.
Yeah.
So I grew up watching that tournament, watching the Lee and Heshes, win their doubles and start their whole magic over there. I saw Carlos Moya win it. I saw Kanyas win it. I saw Karlovic in 2001. A dream come true, no doubt, And I think what helped was the preseason of 2008, December. I ended up, I was very lucky. I got a call from Andy Roddick, and he said, "Hey, why don't you come and practice with me?"
Wow.
And I practiced with him, went with my coaches, and I did everything, from the track workouts to the gym to how many ever hours he wanted on a tennis court, to running, to doing everything right. And I stayed at his house. And I think after kind of being around that environment, I learned really, really quickly on how important things are of just being a professional, and without a doubt, that confidence that I took from training directly into the tournament in Chennai helped a lot. So yeah, making the finals there, I think was a huge achievement for me. Too bad I didn't win it though.
But you did beat Marin Cilic in Washington in 2009. Again, Cilic was, in
I
the top
did.
30 in the world. You were just
Yeah.
24 years old. So after that loss, that must have been it must have been sweet revenge.
It was nice. It was nice. I think Chilich was 14 in the world, if I recall correctly. He was 14, and I was playing
Wow.
him the third or fourth round. I think I was in the qualifying that year. Um, yeah, I mean, it was. So the other thing is that the tournament in Washington D.C. Was also very special to me because I went to the University of Virginia, which is just a couple hours away. And since I graduated in 2008, the period between 2008, 9, 10, around that time, I still had quite a few friends and, UVA tennis fans come out and watch. And that kind of helped build up the energy in the stadium. So whenever I was out there playing, I remember, at least a few people in America were cheering for this Indian guy. Apart from all the Indian fans, of course, because there's Indian fans any single tournament you go to, you'll find Indian fans, which is an amazing feeling. So yeah, to go out there and to beat Cilic, I think was a really really important thing for me because I just lost to him before that year, but also understanding that I could play at that level because by this point Cilic was 14, 15 in the world, and he was obviously super successful in Grand Slams and other events. So for me, to whenever you're a young player, I mean, at that time I still hadn't broken the top 100. So to beat a guy inside the top 15, it'll tell you that it'll show you that you're moving in the right direction, and that confidence is very important to have as a player.
2011, you beat Marcos Bagdatis in Indian Wells, and the second set score was 6-love. So memories of that
I
one. I
was
mean, the guy
zoning.
was,
I was in the zone.
yeah, the guy was 22 in the world, if I'm not mistaken, at that point in time.
Yeah. So funny story before that. So we were all in Novi Sad, in playing Serbia in Novi Sad for Davis Cup.
Ah.
Lee Hesh weren't there, so it was myself, Bopana, and Karan Rastogi and Yuki Bamri, who was a lot younger at that time. And I remember going out there that week. Nobody thought we had a chance,
Did you beat
but I beat
Tipsarevic in
Yanko.
that one? Did you beat
I
Tipsarevic?
did.
That's the one. I remember that one, man.
Yeah. So I beat Yanko in that, and from there we lost the tie. And from there, I had to fly. So from Belgrade, we had to fly all the way to California. Landed on, I think the Davis Cup tie finished on Sunday. So you landed on Monday and you played on Tuesday. So I remember I was with my coaches, of course, and I was like, guys, I'm tired. They're like, well, nobody asked, and it doesn't matter that you're tired. You still got to go out there and do your job. So I remember going out. I was in qualifying. So I qualified. First round, I think beat Manarino, who's still top 100.
Yeah.
A week or so after that is when I made third or fourth round of Miami as well, and kind of became the highest ranked Indian. So it was momentum. It was complete momentum. I was just feeling it. I was playing good tennis and playing good tennis against the best players in the world. That phase of my life. So yeah, that's it's hard to explain that as a tennis player. Yeah, 6-love. Would I have ever imagined beating a top 25 player 6-love? Absolutely not. But sometimes when you're in the zone, good things can happen.
Well, I want to take you to Miami. I mean, that was 2011 where you beat Raonic. He was in the
Yeah.
top 30 in the world at that time. That must have been also just one of those spectacular ones you can sit on your front porch and think back of your playing days beating Milos Raonic.
It was. But again, funny thing about Milos Raonic, right? So I think 5 or 6 months before that, we're playing each other in a challenger. So Milos was working with a Spanish guy who I knew fairly well. So we were practicing together, playing with each other quite a lot. And at that tournament, I happened to be the higher ranked guy. I think I was close to 100 or right around 100, and Milos was probably 250 and up and coming at that time.
Okay.
So in 2011, Milos came to Chennai, okay, lost in the qualifying, went to Melbourne, was down match points in the final qualifying, won that, made it to the fourth round, went to America, won San Jose, and lost in the finals of Memphis to Roddick. right? So he's just suddenly, from beating me in a challenger in Tashkent in Uzbekistan, he's gone, had a 3-month tear, and because of that, he was 30 in the world. So when I played him, he was really fresh into being 30 in the world. And I had remembered that, 4 or 5 months ago, we were practicing together, and I didn't win every time, but I always felt like I had a chance to beat him. So yeah, that was that time. Yeah, man, it was again a good run. I think after beating Raonic is when I finally became the highest ranked Indian in 20-25 years, which was relieving at that time. Yeah, more than anything else.
But the thing is that guys like you, guys like Leander Paes, when you played for the nation in Davis Cup, you wore your heart on your sleeve, man. I mean, I'm talking about going into the world groups, a few times, courtesy your exploits. You mentioned the Janko Tipsarevic win. There was a win against Lou. There's another one against Jiri Vesely. And then you've also gone on and won singles for us in the Commonwealth Games, the Asian Games, So playing for the country is a whole different kettle, isn't it? And if you want to talk about memorable ones playing for the country, like the Tipsarevic one, the Lou one, the Vesely one, I'd like.
Yeah, playing for the country is different, and I can't put my finger. I can't explain why, because a lot of times when you're playing for the country, you're playing in a faraway place with no fans. I remember 2014, we're playing Korea in Korea, and up until this point, India has never beaten Korea away. And they have this up and comer, Hyun Chong. Obviously, 2 years later, the guy made semis of Australia. He was top 20, but at the time he was a kid. Coming out there, and there was a lot of time. So the way I looked at Davis Cup matches, honestly, especially when I first started playing, was that if we want to win a tie, I got to win 2 matches. If I win 2 matches, we win the tie, because Lee and Hesh don't lose in doubles.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I approached it. And I realized that nothing else matters. As long as I put myself in the right position to win 2 singles matches, we have a chance. And if I lose a singles match, it's really, really hard. So the only one that this is one of my favorite memories of Davis Cup ever, 2010 Brazil tie. So, as always, we're fighting with the Federation. Federation wants to host the tie somewhere else. We're fighting about having it here, there. Finally, they give in, and Rohan and I kind of, we were pushing towards having it in Chennai. Simple reason was we thought that him and I handle the heat better than the Brazilians.
Yeah.
So first day comes around, Rohan's on court. And keep in mind, this is 2010. So, 10, 11 years ago. Rohan is not really focused on singles. He's still playing doubles. So in essence, India has 3 doubles players and me. And Rohan, I mean, for me, one of the best Davis Cup battlers that India has ever seen. Yep. Despite not playing singles, he won so many key singles matches for us. First day he goes out, he's playing a guy top 30 in the world, Tomas Bellucci. He has 4 match points and he loses. Okay? 5 hours gone. 4 hours, 40 minutes, something like that. Next up is me. I go out there, I'm playing Ricardo Melo. Ricardo is ranked probably 70, 75 in the world, something like that. I go out there, 5 sets, up 2 sets to 1, about 4 hours and 30 minutes. Also, I lose in 5 sets. And in the evening, Rohan and I are sitting up in the swimming pool of the hotel, looking at each other, being like, man, we were this close to being 2-0 up and into the world group, because Lee Hesh are not going to lose. So next day we go on court. Lee Hesh don't lose. They beat Melo and Melo Suarez, who are still playing, still very good. Beat them 3 straight sets. So now pressure's back on me, because I'm playing the first match on Sunday. I wake up in the morning Sunday. I get a message from Hesh. Hey, Som, sun's out, about as bright and strong as I've ever seen it. Your kind of day. Good luck. And I was like looking up. I was like, shit. So that's actually the only Davis Cup tie that I have ever played. Well, the only time India has come back from 2-0 down. No, we did it another time, but that was the first time India did it from 2-0 down in such a big stage. I played Tomas Bellucci, and because Rohan took him to 5 sets on Friday, he was dead against me. Absolutely dead. I remember I win the first set in a tie break, second set, and I'm close to breaking. I break him, I give it a big come on, I get the crowd going. I turn around and Bellucci's nose is just bleeding. It's just, I mean, just like I think he sneezed and a blood vessel popped, and it's just, I mean, blood everywhere. His shirt's covered, his towel's covered. He looks up at the ref, he's like feeling a little woozy. And for me, this was a huge win because I was like, well, I'm up a set, I'm up a break. It's sweltering heat in Chennai. The guy just played 5 hours 2 days ago, and I'm fitter than him. So advantage me, you know? And at this point, Rohan is looking over, and I think Rohan understands that I'm in a really good position. So he starts getting ready, and before you know it, Bellucci is done. So he's defaulted. Now we look at Rohan, and I look at Rohan before I go, and I'm like, "Boops, same situation. That guy, I took him to 5 sets on Friday. He is absolutely dead. So if there's any way where you can hold serve and put a little bit of pressure, I think we're gonna have them in a really tricky spot." And I mean, I get goosebumps talking about this now. That match that Bopanna played, that fifth match that Bopanna played to beat Ricardo Melo and send India to the World Group. I mean, that was so special. You should go out and watch it. I've never seen anybody hit so many aces and winners at will. At the end of the match, Rohan was cramping, Ricardo was cramping, we were cramping on the sidelines because we were like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And yeah, man, one of the best Davis Cup memories ever, coming from 2-0 down and sending India to the World Group.
All for the country, all for the country. Well, you were a big college champion, the American College Championship, the NCAA. I mean, guys like McEnroe at Stanford and all made it so famous. You won it for 2 years, and I believe you and John Isner are great mates. He's not in Australia this year. I think he's decided to stay back with the family. But those college days, and how incredibly fit were you, Somdev? I mean, you were really the fittest athlete in the country at one point in time. And those college days must have come in handy. I mean, there are all these stories about, guys like Vishal Uppal who say, boss, he used to take me for training, and, in America, the college way is you sprint, you throw up, and then you get ready to sprint again. Is that true, or is it just urban legend?
It's true. There's a ton of stories, man.
Wow.
I mean, listen, when I grew up, the criticism that I faced from general coaches in India was that I was not talented enough. And I didn't necessarily disagree with them. I wasn't talented enough. The other guys that played with me had much better hands and general skills that Indians possess that I didn't. But I always looked around and I said, but the thing that I can do also that nobody else can do. And the things I can do, I'm going to do really well. So that's kind of the time when I went to college. And it was the best environment for me because, immediately you walk into the weight room and, in India, you think you're a tough guy. You walk into a weight room lifting weights or whatever it is you're doing. And I look to my left, the football guys, NFL, college football guys are out there. Whatever I'm squatting with, that's their warm-up. I look to the right, the basketball guys are jumping this high. And I'm like, man, I'm not an athlete over here. I thought I was a great athlete. So immediately, you go to the track and you try to run a mile, and our mile timings, we had to run it in 6 minutes, which is not that hard. But you look around the track team and they're all laughing at you because they're obviously running a mile in 4 minutes. 4 minutes, 30 seconds, and we're doing. So our goal was naturally to try and break 5. So and we were also a part of a team where nobody wanted to lose. So the best compliment that many coaches and stuff have given me is, if you have the ability to push and focus so hard that you have the ability to make other people quit, to make other people make bad decisions, to make other people cramp, that is also a strength, And so I almost took pride in the fact that I needed to be the fittest because I wasn't the most talented. And you don't need to be talented to get out of bed and run, So that's kind of how I looked at it, and I said, okay, maybe when I'm on court, I'm still going to go out there and work my hardest to improve. But there's something else that I'm also going to do, and if it means that I have to run a mile so towards the end, I was running miles in close to 5 minutes. But if it means that I run a mile in 5 minutes and four laps around. So if I run a mile in 5 minutes, and if I take a break for 3 minutes and I can do it again, and if I can do it again 3 or 4 times, now it really means that you're pushing your threshold. You're really expanding your threshold. So, a lot of times I would do that even during matches, sometimes in really hot conditions. People would be dying and I would be doing high knees and running past them just to send a message saying, hey, you're dying and it's about to get a lot worse. Or 1 or 2 times if I would throw up, come back and start doing jumping jacks. And that's just the way it was. I think I had, that was my mentality. A lot of people have different mentalities based on their strengths and weaknesses. And once I realized that, becoming the fittest tennis player that I could be was my strength, I tried to take that to the next level.
Exemplary. So, what's your favorite travel destination? Where do you just like to go and chill and say, I don't want to get up?
I mean, I've been, my wife and me have been kind of going back and forth. I prefer beaches. She prefers the mountains. So, I mean, I see the beauty in both, obviously, but I still think I would prefer a beach. I mean, I really enjoyed my time in Bali, but even in India, man, like going to Goa or going to Pondi or, just one of the beaches down on ECR in Chennai where I live, really, really nice places.
Your playlist, what does it have? Are you a Maroon 5 and John Mayer kind of guy, or are you into the classics? What does Somdev Devvarman listen to?
Definitely John Mayer, Maroon 5 as well. I mean, don't get me wrong. But I mean, I'm more of a singer-songwriter myself,
Correct.
so I naturally feel like I gravitate towards guys who are singer-songwriters. So, my influences are, people I listened to growing up. So Beatles, Cat Stevens, Bob Dylan,
Amazing.
Carpenters, 70s, 80s music, because that's kind of what was playing in my house when I was growing up. And then when I went away to college in Charlottesville, Virginia, luckily enough, there's an unbelievable music scene over there. And it's also happens to be the city where the Dave Matthews Band was founded and created and they live. So I reached a point where I feel like I know at least 90% of their songs, and they have, 250, 300 songs, maybe more. And I've been to probably 25, 30 Dave concerts, so I'm a hardcore Dave Matthews Band fan. And check this out. So on my acoustic guitar, I've got this little fire dancer over here. That's Dave Matthews Band symbol, man. So yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Wow. And that Dave has antecedents in South Africa.
He does.
And South Africa is one of your happy hunting grounds. I remember in 2011 in Joburg, you made the final in that South African Open where you went down to Kevin Anderson. So, there is a South Africa connection between you and Dave.
There is. Definitely is.
Somdev Devvarman, thank you very much for your time, most importantly, sharing these wonderful memories and giving us incisive comments. For a tennis fan, this is manna from heaven. Just being able to talk tennis with one of the finest tennis players this country has ever produced. Thanks, mate, and have a good day. To your family and you, I hope you guys stay safe and healthy. Cheers.
Thanks a lot, man. Take it easy. Had a great time. Look forward to the next time.